Not everyone in Chaldea spends their time fighting all the time. Some work in the medical room, some cook in the kitchen, some spend their time in the library, some go on solo adventures. And then there are those who spend their time just gaming. And I kinda want to talk about those gamers. Chaldea is a massive facility that houses hundreds of heroic spirits. Naturally, legends who grew up in ancient or medieval eras are forced to adapt to modern futuristic concepts. And honestly, that's always fun to see. We love watching old school characters learn new things, especially when those new things are modern entertainment like video games. Now, you probably already know a few of them, but don't worry, I don't think this is going to be a boring video. I'll be talking more about these gamers, like what genres they play, their gaming habits, and maybe even the side effects of all that gaming. So, let's get into it. If you're watching this video, the first name that probably comes to mind is Tomoe Gozen. And yes, you're right. She's basically a gamer mom who's so addicted that she's known for rarely ever stopping. Good lord. So, what does she play? Tomoe is a huge fan of intense action games, war-themed stuff, FPS, anything heavy and adrenaline-filled. She spends most of her free time playing games like that. You can tell just from how often she references games she's already played. Even in a lot of events, she keeps referencing the games she's been playing. Now, this addiction actually has consequences, both on her body and on how others see her. And honestly, that's what makes it interesting. You see, her addiction shows up physically. Tomoe games so much that she skips meals, then compensates by constantly snacking on modern junk food. You know, probably stuff with strong flavors like chips and crackers. She keeps doing this until, at some point, her taste buds basically stop working unless the flavor is really strong. This is even pointed out by Benny Enma, who's very serious about food health and balance. Now think about it. If she eats snacks until her taste buds are messed up, and she snacks while gaming, how long do you think she's actually playing? She can't even cook normal food properly and always gets scolded by Benny, probably because her sense of taste is ruined. Well, to be fair, she already couldn't really cook back when she was alive. She mostly just made onigiri, and her cooking sense has always been terrible. But I feel like a big reason she can't cook properly in Chaldea now is because she can barely taste anything after all that snacking. From other people's perspectives, Tomoe is already labeled as the gamer mom. She doesn't hide it at all. She even openly asks others for help with game-related problems. She once asked Grandpa Yagyu whether her style was okay while using VR Shinkage Ryu, which is basically Beat Saber-style swordplay. In several events, she often invites Fuji or other heroic spirits to play with her, and she's almost always in the recreation room. Uriele even jokes that the recreation room in Chaldea is basically Tomoe's den, because she's always there gaming. The room is supposed to be a shared space, but since Tomoe is constantly playing there, it ends up being strongly associated with her. Is it unhealthy? Probably. But hey, they're heroic spirits. They don't really get sick. So I guess she gets a pass. Now, after hearing that, you might be wondering how the hell did Tomoe get so addicted to gaming? And who does she usually play with? Well, I did say she often plays with other people, but you're probably curious on a deeper level. Like, who can actually keep up with her gaming skill and compete at the same level? Okay, let's answer this because honestly, this is also a transition to the next sweaty gamer girl we're going to talk about. So, who taught Tomoe how to become a gamer? I think there are a few factors. First, it's important to remember that all servants come with basic knowledge of modern things, but not actual experience using them. They only really learn once they get curious and try stuff out themselves. In that sense, it's kind of similar to how Iskandar was in Fate Zero. He understood modern concepts, but experiencing them firsthand was a whole different story. But here's the thing. We need a more accurate answer, or at least we need to figure out who or what really triggered her interest in video games once she arrived in Chaldea. And that's the second factor. It's because of this woman, Osakabe Hime, aka Aki. Some people also said it was because of Gilgamesh, but honestly, I can't really remember that. And I can't find the source either. It might be true though, because I remember hearing something similar before. Still, Aki makes more sense to me. Aoki is just deeply cultured. She uses internet slang, understands memes, and is fully immersed in anime, games, and online culture. She's a shut-in whose room is packed with FGO merch. She's especially into otaku media aimed at a male audience. And this is the woman who openly said she was the one who got Tomoe into video games, Osakabe Hime herself. She even proudly admitted that she's basically Tomoe's sensei in that department. Honestly, I can picture it perfectly. From the text, it's kind of implied that Tomoe's obsession with gaming is a way to keep her Oni blood under control. She mentions that grinding enemies into dust makes her happy, and on top of that, she's probably just bored. I guess that should be considered a factor as well. She needs to let off steam because of her Oni blood. So if you put together a woman who constantly has to suppress her anger and violent urges, and another woman who spends most of her life in her room doing whatever digital thing makes her happy, yeah, that actually sounds like a pretty great friendship combo. Now back to Aoki. What kind of games was she even playing that could influence Tomoe this much? Game-wise, she plays pretty much anything. I mean, she spends almost all her time in front of a screen, so she'll try any game, including FGO itself. You can even see this in her animations, where she's holding a controller and moving around. And yes, from the screen, she hasn't even finished part 1 yet. Oki, come on! After switching to her summer form, she gets really into survival games and becomes obsessed with battle royale titles, which is honestly funny, considering she's a heroic spirit normally summoned for life or death battles. Basically, a battle royale. Like, girl, you should be ready for this. This is literally your original purpose. Now, even though she claims she often plays with Tomoe, they're actually very different in terms of attitude and how they handle things. Or at least, that's how it looks. In Tomoe's case, even though she plays games a lot, she's still supportive and acts like a parent toward kids and the people around her. In her interlude, she even takes the time to teach child heroic spirits in the simulation room, including basic manners like washing their hands before snacking. But with Aoki, it's completely different. Aoki's lifestyle is basically that of a shut-in. She rarely leaves her room, and when she does go out to do something, she goes straight back as soon as the business is done. You don't even need to see it in the story. Her room dialogue alone makes it clear that all she ever wants is to stay inside. And honestly, I think it's because she isn't just a gaming addict, she's also permanently online. And I don't mean often, I mean always. She's constantly connected to the internet, diving into all kinds of cursed knowledge. If you ever talk to her, you'd probably bond way faster than expected. Or you'd get completely overwhelmed by her terminally online energy. Okay, so that was the person who taught Tomoe, another heavy gamer. But the next one is no slouch either, even if they're not that hardcore. That brings us to the next gamer group, the Valkyries. Yes, the Valkyries also play video games, sometimes with Tomoe, sometimes not, since their tastes are very different. Tomoe loves action-heavy games, while the Valkyries prefer dating sims and RPGs. Sometimes Tomoe just watches them play instead. Their gaming sessions aren't as extreme as Tomoe's, at least not anymore. Early on, after picking up the habit from Tomoe and other gamers, they used to play for hours. This eventually caught the attention of Brynhildr and Sigurd, who honestly act like their guardians. After that, Sigurd and Bryn started setting limits on their gaming time. Sigurd even debated whether 1 hour or 2 hours a day was acceptable. That said, knowing Sigurd, he probably lets it slide sometimes. He's a pretty gentle guy, so every now and then he likely just sighs and lets them do what they want. By the end of their interlude, it's implied that Tomoe is trying to convince them to try other genres, like fighting games, so eventually it looks like all the gamers might end up playing together. Jinako is basically a textbook example of how you'd imagine a lazy person turning out, both in her behavior and her appearance. And honestly, her behavior is really similar to Aoki's. The two of them are pretty much living in similar situations, which is why Jinako also plays a ton of games. The main difference is that Aoki is more of a shut-in who's still actively involved in making doujin and other stuff, so she's focused on otaku culture. Janako, on the other hand, feels more like she's given up and decided to live like this permanently, at least back when she was just Janako. Now that she's involved in a world-saving mission, she doesn't really have a choice but to leave her NEET nest. That said, the way she enjoys her shut-in life is actually pretty interesting, especially in her first ascension. Even though she looks like nothing more than a statue, she claims the inside is way more spacious. It's basically a full-on NEET cave, where she can relax, snack, and play video games comfortably. So yeah, it's like a portable secret hideout she can carry anywhere, since it's literally her ascension form. We don't really get specific info on what game genres she plays, but based on the materials, where she says she's pretty close with Aki and often plays games together with her, it's safe to assume they play similar types of games. And considering how easily Janako spots media cliches and gacha tropes, she's probably into MMORPGs, or gacha games too. I mean, she literally notices her own rarity and freaks out over the fact that she's an SSR. Now there's one person you'd never expect to be part of this group, and that's Fuji's ultimate senpai, Yume Ren. She's never shown any gamer side at all, so seeing her portrait as a Kuta already feels surprising. She's usually known as a quiet bookworm, not very talkative, hard to approach even as a heroic spirit, and absolutely not someone you'd imagine touching video games. And yet, she completely dominates fighting games. She's beaten Sigurd, Mash, Fujimaru, and even Tomoe. Beating Sigurd, Mash, and Fuji is already impressive, but beating Tomoe, who's literally known as the gamer and in Tomoe's own genre, that's insane. What makes it even crazier is how she wins. She beats Tomoe because time runs out, and when that happens, the winner is decided by who has more HP left. Yu is visibly confident about her HP compared to Tomoe's, which implies she barely took any damage at all. If there had been more time, she probably would have beaten Tomoe cleanly. This is shown during the summer event, where she's basically steamrolling everyone in fighting games. If we hadn't seen this event, no one would ever guess Yu is actually that good. She even says she's doing it to prove how strong she is, and how the strong often end up alone. But let's be real. If she's that good, she's probably been grinding games non-stop in her room when no one's looking. Being good at fighting games and being good at actual combat are two completely different things, and that gap doesn't close without serious practice. So yeah, this pretty much implies she's been doing some heavy gaming in secret. Okay, we've been talking about the girls a lot, so it's only fair we acknowledge the guys too. And honestly, there are a few who are straight up known as gamers. First up is Lord El Malloy II, better known as Waver Velvet or Juge Liang. We've been seeing this side of him since Fate Zero. Near the end of the story, Iskandar buys a game console and a war strategy game so he can play together with Waver. After Iskandar's death, Waver keeps the console and continues playing as a way to remember him. That's basically where it starts. And as Waver grows older, it's clear his gaming habit never really goes away. In later series, gaming becomes part of his routine in between his busy life as a clock tower professor. We even see him playing an online fantasy game. His avatar is an elf warrior whose design closely resembles Iskandar's outfit. He also plays while wearing the same clothes Iskandar once bought for him. In FGO, this side of him gets pushed even further. He's shown to be a big fan of Japanese video games and pop culture. In his fourth Bond conversation, he even asks if there's any sign of a singularity in Akihabara, clearly hoping for an excuse to go there. And on top of that, he's also the one who gives advice to the Valkyries about dating sim games. Another one I know is Blackbeard. This guy is a total no-brainer. He's mostly known as an otaku who loves Japanese culture and anime, but he's also a gamer. He's basically that bro who goes with you to a culture event and somehow ends up buying way too much stuff. I mean, I think he's one of the very few characters whose fourth Ascension art actually has him wearing a custom casual shirt that really shows off his personality. He also straight up admits that he has lines of anime figures, and he gets genuinely angry if one of them gets broken. I don't really know what kind of games he plays, since it's never clearly stated, but considering his habit of collecting female figures, and His questionable way of talking, I'm guessing he's into dating sims, visual novels, gacha games, or maybe even adult-themed ones. I'm also pretty sure he references games he's played when he talks to people sometimes. And I guess that's it. Sure, there are other characters who game or have gaming hinted at in their stories, but I focused on these ones because they're the hardcore, the gamers type. I'm sure there are plenty of wholesome or funny moments of them gaming with others too, so feel free to share those in the comments. For now, don't forget to like, subscribe, share this video somewhere, and I'll see you next time.